I got Spaghetti Factory from Uber Eats.
Here we go.
And I was tracking the driver, and the driver forgot to like turn off the app or mark the order as canceled. But they picked up my order and then just drove back to what I'm assuming is their house. They were just at a residence for like 2 hours that we didn't have priority. So I thought they may be delivering another order off there. So I've used priority every time. They weren't delivering it to somebody else's house. They were definitely just eating my old spaghetti factory. I either had the spaghetti and meatballs or the spaghetti and sausage, maybe both.
It has been so long since I've been to an old spaghetti factory. Every time I go back to Corvallis, I'm like, we should go to the old spag here because it wasn't there when we were in college.
The old spag. That's what my dad
I know, it's the old spag, man. But yeah, alas, I haven't. It's been probably 15 years since I've been inside of an old spaghetti factory. But I
think I went like 5 years ago.
Yeah, it reminds me of what I think San Francisco would have been like in like the 1920s.
Yeah, I think it started I think it actually started behind my old apartment in North Beach.
Like how Portillo's, tries to be like what Chicago would be like in the 1920s.
No, not that way.
Just like mafia
but
music.
It is. Oh man. I don't know why people get anything else other than the what do they call it? It's not the hot beef. It's the Italian beef sandwich. They're so good.
Everything at Portillo's is good. I mean, the Italian beef's incredible, but everything on that menu is A+.
Yeah, agreed. Milkshakes or malts. Maybe they're called malts there.
I think they have both.
They're very good.
Hi guys.
Well, malts are different.
Are they? I don't know.
Malts have malt inside of them.
Yeah, malt and like more ice cream.
Yeah, malt being like the same malt that they make with liquor.
Malt liquor,
or make
exactly.
Liquor.
No, malts have old English in them, or cold 45. Milkshakes are for the kids.
It's half Mickey's, half ice cream.
Precisely.
You should start that.
Precisely.
Has anyone done it? Has anyone?
Nope.
No, it'd just be a
McShake or McFlurry. They already made that.
Yeah, they made that.
Yeah, whatever.
Something they haven't made yet is the 165th episode of the Belligerent Beavs Podcast, because we're making it right now.
It's been a while, guys.
It has been a while. We were stuck in our bye-week blues, so we took a week off. Sorry about that, folks. Thought we might come back from the bye recharged and get a win against San Jose State, and that didn't happen. But we're still here. We've got smiles on our faces. We do have good things to talk about. We also have bad things to talk about. And apparently we have
things
old spaghetti factory Uber Eats orders gone wrong to talk about. I wasn't totally expecting that, but it has been a while. We're recording this on Monday, November 11th. Happy Veterans Day to everyone listening to this.
Happy Veterans Day.
Especially to the veterans.
Thank you for all those that served.
Thank you to all.
And to those that can't listen, appreciate their sacrifice.
Thank you,
yes,
everyone. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. We are grateful to be here on this Monday evening in what is now mid-November. The year is just flying by. Also, there are just 2.5 weeks left before you get your Spotify Wrapped from Spotify. So if you want it to look like you listen to cool new music, hip music, and cool podcasts like the Belligerent Beavs, start just playing Spotify on a loop, so that by the time December 1st rolls around, you can be like, here's how cool I am, friend.
You know what we should do?
I discovered 108 new bands this year, and definitely not in the last 2.5 weeks by just playing shit like constantly.
I want to do a test with you guys real quick. Go to your DJ. Go to your DJ on Spotify. Play the first song. What's the? You don't use Spotify? Oh, you use Apple Music. Yeah, well, you pay for every song, don't you?
No. Pay for every song. No. I mean, I did in college. I bought.
Yeah.
No, Apple Music streaming.
Oh, it is. Oh, it's like Spotify.
Yeah.
And so you don't have Spotify, Terry? Do you have Spotify?
I do have Spotify, but what DJ?
Yeah,
is that like
you don't know the DJ? It will play like songs that you've listened to and that it thinks you're interested in. You haven't discovered DJ?
Yeah, I have DJ, all kinds of music picked by your own. Oh, it's because it's all right. I've had like the Discover Weekly and the Daily Mix. I just enabled
it now.
No, I got it. Wait, go. Okay, I'm clicking on it.
Just wanted to see what the first song that played from your DJ was.
Yeah, I'm an AI,
yeah.
But listen,
I don't want this. Oh, Riding Shotgun by Kygo.
AI? But you can only get that on premium, right? Because I don't have premium because I don't use it.
I don't know. I do have premium. Mine was Ball and Biscuit by the White Stripes.
Mine just shows me things like recommended for you, popular listeners of the Belligerent Beavs podcast.
What's recommended for you? I just wanted to see randomly.
No, sorry, recommended for today, not for me. I only have Daily Mix 1 and Daily Mix 2, and they both say the Beatles.
Oh, okay.
That's just the
That's
default.
cool.
I haven't listened to the Beatles that often in a long time. So.
Have you heard? Welcome to Spotify. Have you heard of the Beatles? 4 lads from Liverpool.
How do I get my DJ if I don't pay? I bet I can't.
I bet you can't. It's fun.
So dumb. See, Spotify's dumb.
See,
Apple Music all the way.
Is there an AI
DJ?
Is there an AI DJ OK equivalent on Apple Music that like curates based on your listening habits?
Because that's just like the stations without an annoying guy shouting in your ear.
Well, there are stations like that on Spotify.
It's so
too.
personalized.
Yeah, the stations are personalized.
Right,
There's literally a for you station. There's also few playlists that are like, where is this? Made for you. I have a chill mix, a favorites mix, a new music
a
mix.
real roundabout way to say that it's just Andre Nicotina, and that's totally fine. You are
What's the first song on the For You playlist?
On my favorites mix?
Not on your favorites. Just like what the AI thinks you would listen to as your next song.
Well, that is For You. I guess
it's not songs that you picked as your favorites?
Well, it's songs that it thinks that I did say are my favorites. I guess that'd be like my station.
Yeah, what's the first song on that?
I don't know. Let me see what it does when I play it. It is
State Ballas.
It's Kanye.
Oh, boo! Go back to the Beatles.
What Kanye song?
It was New Slaves. No, I don't even like that album. The one that's, I don't even know what that album's called. Where'd it go? It was no, it's not showing up. The next one was Portugal the Man, which I also don't listen to.
And then I love Portugal the Man.
I like Portugal the Man.
La Sonora Santanera. Right. I don't know.
I think
it's way off.
It's time to just retire figuring out JP's musical taste. They're just too far-ranging.
You'll never know.
Eclectic and mysterious.
Hey, Tyler the Creator came out with a new CD. That is fucking good. Yes.
God, how have I missed
I think it's called Chromeo.
I love Tyler. Now I know what I'm doing tomorrow.
That's it? Just listening to an album all day?
Listening to one album. Whether it's a half an hour or 2 hours, I don't care. I'll just have it. Dude, that's why being a music writer would be the best.
Oh, there's still time.
Yeah, I guess there is. Yeah. Sports writer, it's like you're too beholden to like live events that are usually at night and on weekends. Like music writer, it's just when the album comes out.
Imagine being a music writer for like Dr. Dre and you're just waiting
for Detox.
And wait.
Like, should we keep this guy and retain her another year? Like, you never know. The time we take him off is when Dre drops Detox.
Yeah, Detox is dropping this year. I've read the rumors.
Yeah.
Terry, you work from home, right? Yeah. Well, I am at home. I am just waiting
for Detox,
and have been for 20 years.
That's how you know Detox will for sure drop like the first day of a new fiscal year.
Oh,
July 1st, is that when it starts? Yeah, July 1st, whatever, because some high-ranking music industry person will get dropped, and then Dre will be like, haha, this will not be the first time Dr. Dre comes up in this episode.
Oh,
Oh,
Did
I have a
Compton,
little- I have a
didn't
little-
he say that Compton though was also like that was his detox? Like there is no. He said like there is no detox. That Compton was.
Yeah, he says that
came
now,
from it.
but he also spent years saying there is a detox, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll just it's at the point now. I'm like, if we ever get that album, great. If we don't, I think I'm fine.
I mean, 2001's fine. I mean, great.
One
Fine. I'm
is
fine with
still
that
a
being-
perfect. Anytime I'm
Yes,
like,
very
man,
good.
boy, I sure wish there was a new Dr. Dre album, and then you just play 2001 again. It's like, this is still perfect.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's fine. It's fine to be the finale, even though it was 25 years ago.
Right.
Very much so.
Right, man.
Just ignore Compton.
Well, something that's not perfect is Oregon State's football team. And
Wait, what about? I think you're gonna say the beer segment.
Yeah.
the beer segment is perfection. Though I before we get into the beer segment and before we get into the full football segment, I want to just ask real quick because there's a very funny quote from an athletic director that I heard this weekend. Are either of you aware of how the BYU at Utah game ended this last Saturday?
I know it was super controversial. I stopped watching that.
It was it's as close to a true zombie Pac-12 after dark game as we've gotten all season. It was an excellent game. I did not watch all of it live. It was I fell asleep at like halftime. That's how after dark it was. But it was in Salt Lake City. It was at Rice Eccles Stadium. The Utah crowd was great, as we expect of them. And long story short, Utah, who is 4-4 and not having the season they wanted, is playing hated rivals BYU, who are undefeated, and they're winning 21-19. They sack BYU's quarterback in the end zone to essentially seal the game. Refs call a late defensive holding, and then BYU, after the penalty, drives down the field, kicks the game-winning field goal as time expires. Utah's athletic director, not the head coach, the athletic director, Mark Harlan, is the first to the podium in the post-game press conference. How often have you seen Scott Barnes first to the podium for a post-game press conference at an Oregon State game? And he just launches into it right away. Says, in regards to the defensive holding that was called, this game was stolen from us. I am disgusted, and is just railing the officials for a while. And Mark Harlan, the list of villains goes pretty long of who really broke up the Pac-12. Utah and Mark Harlan, I feel like, truly held on for what I think was something close to a genuine amount of time, and probably wanted the conference to stay together. Whatever, vis-a-vis, doesn't really matter. But I don't think they really, really wanted out. And Mark Harlan says, we were excited to be in the Big 12, but not tonight. I am disgusted. I am calling the commissioner, and officials should be ashamed of themselves. When I heard these quotes, I immediately was like, Utah, come on back. We need another one.
Yeah.
We'll give you shit for it for a little bit, but you're definitely welcome back. And that's interesting because we've started to hear quotes from coaches and athletic directors lamenting the new travel bullshit. But this is kind of the first time that anyone has been like, hey, this new conference we're in, fuck this. And he's calling Brett Yormark, a.k.a. Bob Yorkmeyer, possibly right now, Benny, to be like, do something about this officiating or going back to the Pac-12. And I would love to have Utah back. Fuck those guys. Looking back at the play, I think it was the correct call, but never mind that. They stole it from you, Utah. Come on home.
Bob Yorkmeyer called him first because he came back with a second. I guess it was a statement, not a quote necessarily, but a statement saying that he apologized for making the derogatory remarks towards the officials.
Kind of. He never really said I apologize or I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure it was devoid of those statements within his statement.
At the end, didn't it say something like, I accept the consequences of my decision?
I accept my responsibility, like how people always say when there's no responsibility immediately being issued. I apologize if you were offended. By what I said.
Yeah. But I'll play devil's advocate here. I mean, Utah presumably had the professor that created the evaluation of the collective group at the $50 million mark for the Pac-12 to bring to the negotiation table, for one.
Oh, yeah.
Two, I know that Utah held out, presumably, and tried their best to not jump to a new conference again after feeling like they got their break by being called up, in a sense, to the then Pac-10. But they still made that choice to go. And I'm sorry you have buyer's remorse. That's not my problem. So I'm sorry you misplayed your hand.
Right.
I'll welcome them back, of course.
Yeah,
but
that's all I was.
Yeah,
I also
enjoy
know
the bed you made,
because people give us so much fucking shit for things like this. We know Utah's not coming back immediately, but this is just hypothetical. And also, I just enjoyed true chaos happening, and that someone's first year in the Big 12 was anything but a honeymoon phase, and you already have beef with the commissioner and the officials.
Yeah.
Hey, look, there is a very
that welcomed you with open arms.
Right.
There is a very real possibility that the Pac-12, the future Pac-12, gets 2 teams in. Not a probability, but there's a possibility that the future Pac-12 gets 2 teams into the college football playoffs, with Boise and Washington State. And there is almost absolute certainty that the Big 12 is only getting 1 in.
Are you saying you're cheering for Oregon State to lose to those 2 teams
I didn't say that
we are playing pretty soon?
I didn't say that. I will say the silver lining.
Right.
The silver lining, if Oregon State loses, is that possibility is,
I think,
maybe becomes more
silver lining of all of this is the 3 of us collectively have a pretty healthy relationship with expectations for the rest of the 2024 football season. I won't speak for everyone, and we'll get into a full-on gridiron segment here in a few, but I think we're all in a decent mood. And if you expect a kick in the nuts and you get a slap in the face, it's a victory. And I think we're getting slapped in the face pretty repeatedly here.
You're getting slapped in the nuts.
Yeah, and then
kicked in the face,
and then slapped in the nuts and kicked in the face. So still, that feels like victory to me. I'll lead off,
eclipsing
the threat. I'll lead off this beer segment because this happened to be the one kind of beer I had left. That's kind of how I've approached this segment recently, and it's what I've had before, but it's how a lot of the Oregon State fan base has felt this week and pretty much since June 30th, 2022, directed at one person or another. I have a Surly Furious IPA. You can see the fires of hell burning bright alongside. Because that's just how we feel. We're furious and we're bitter and we're strong. And that's what this beer is. And I'm drinking it and it's fine. So Surly Furious. Surly Furious.
Surly.
Terry Fine. But yeah,
I like that name, Surly.
Terry kicked in that face and slapped in the nuts. He's fine.
He's fine.
It's a long name for a beer.
Fine.
JP, why don't we go to you next?
All right. I guess there's a little bit of a message in here, but I have a Crux Fermentation Project West Coast IPA called Hang Tight.
Oh,
and
okay,
that's positive. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
My wife came back from her girls' weekend in Sun River bearing gifts.
Fun
for the children, and my gift was 2 remaining IPAs in a 6-pack. She said, "You can have them if you want." So I'm drinking mine on the podcast. So if I seem tired, it's because
you're a
I was solo dad all weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel bad that I didn't follow up and ask why you were solo dadding, but I'm happy Annie got time in Sun River because Sun River is awesome. But yeah,
Sun River is awesome.
Yeah, she had a good time. I had a good time. The kids had a good time.
Nice.
There was a little bit of chaos here and there. Like I said, tonight I was late to joining because poor Penny. She's always very tough. She's never scared of anything. She acts, with her chin high all the time. But in the middle of them wanting to for some reason, they wanted to watch the Thriller music video on Saturday night. And I was like, yeah, go ahead, put it on. It's cool. It's like kind of like from like a Halloween theme thing. And it's, close enough. And it was the radio edit version or whatever. So it was 3 minutes. And I'm like, yeah, go ahead. So they watch it and they're dancing. They're loving it. And I'm like, okay, I have to go put the baby to bed. And then I'll come back for the other two. And they don't really, Ev can navigate the Apple TV pretty well, but if his sister wants something, he's definitely not doing it for her. So to try to avoid any chaos while I was leaving them unattended, and she's begging at the end of the song, Dad, can we play it again? And it was the music video, right? Can we play it again? We play it again. And I'm like, well, there's actually a full music video. It's like 15 minutes long. That'll be enough time for you guys to, be entertained.
And you forgot that it's just a 15-minute horror movie.
Yeah. So the first minute, she's on the couch, kind of like jumping and dancing still. And it just breaks down into like trembles and screaming and crying and fear. And so now I'm constantly reminding her that there are no werewolves in her room. There are no werewolves under her bed.
That's what the werewolves would want you to think.
Was just a costume, like Halloween. I'm like, it still comes up every morning. She's like, Dad, do you remember how I was really scared of the werewolf? I'm like, yes, but the werewolf is a real. And then again before bed, Dad, I'm real scared of the werewolf. So at least I got this out of it. I'm hanging tight. I'm just waiting for better days.
Hey, Christmas movies are right around the corner. If not,
movies
already starting.
Are right around the corner.
The commercials already
but another full moon is right around the corner on Friday. So make sure.
Do not tell my daughter.
Oh, I think people are associating that with GTA 6 new trailer coming out. I heard something about that. I don't know what the correlation is.
We're getting GTA 6. Detox and JP's daughter turning into a werewolf all on Friday. And we're gonna have to have an emergency episode for all three things.
And Michael Jackson,
none of them
and Tupac, and all these Heath Ledger, they all come back from the dead. It's gonna be a crazy day.
Man, do you remember it was like 6 years ago more when they had the hologram of Tupac rapping up on stage with technology? Come on, man. How do we not have more of that?
Well,
you know what I mean?
One, I'm pretty sure that Mama Shakur poo-pooed it and was like, this is messed up.
Whoever did that got sued to hell by the Tupac.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah.
So we can do that. We can do better versions of that. It's not ethical.
Yeah, it makes the most sense to do it to somebody who couldn't perform ever again, in a way, right? Like that's where the crowd and the fans would be like, oh, this is endearing and high value. But if they're like, I'm just watching Taylor Swift perform when she's just doing it out in Dallas instead of here in Seattle, like this sucks.
That is true.
Well, maybe a hologram is how we actually get a live show of the Belligerent Beavs podcast, because it's been 165 episodes and we haven't done a live show.
So we just keep them waiting.
Maybe that's the one way we get it.
Speaking of keep them waiting, Benny, what are you drinking or eating or smoking or nothing?
Nothing. Yeah, I figured I'll donate my time back to talking about football so we can get through it quicker so we can talk about basketball.
Wow.
If that works for you guys.
The number, how many times has that been?
Why would you donate your time to it?
I'm donating the time that I would. Yeah.
I think you can make the argument that it wastes time, because by the time that you finished explaining what you're doing with your time, we've already spent more time on your time than moving on to the next time. Anyway, cheers.
I'm not amused. Cheers.
Cheers to werewolves and
Cheers
full
to
moons.
werewolves and Tupac.
Yeah.
And...
Heath Ledger.
All right. We've got to talk about this.
Where do you want to start?
Where do I want to start? I want to start with the second half where it felt like things were starting to go well, and I wasn't able to watch it live because I was heading to a wedding, and maybe I'm the one to blame.
Heading to a wedding.
Heading to a wedding, baby.
Terry's always heading to weddings.
Right. Love is in the air.
It's November.
Love is always in
It's
the
not
air.
wedding season. Yeah. True.
It's always wedding season.
Yeah, most people get married on Valentine's Day in Vegas. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. Come on, Terry.
Anyway, Oregon State gets a field goal. Defense holds. Offense is driving. They're up 13-10. And I text the group chat, haven't been able to watch since halftime because of this wedding. Guess I should never watch again, huh? To which you both confirmed, yes, never watch again. Just walk into the sea, asshole, whatever. And fast forward, 13 is where Oregon State stood. 10 is not where San Jose State stood. And a very, very winnable game against an opponent you cannot lose to. All due respect to the San Jose State Spartans, but an opponent you cannot lose to if you want to be taken seriously in any regard. Comes into research, gets the dub 24-13. The path to bowl eligibility is now quite narrow. The path to really having any kind of tangible takeaway from this season is quite narrow. Gulbranson got the start in place of Giovanni. I don't want this to turn into a pile-on Ben session because I think there's just so many problems here, but it didn't help the offense. if the offense could be helped, that wasn't what the doctor ordered. I guess just, Benny, let's start with you. Is there anything left to be salvaged from this season? Standing here with a 4-5 record on a 4-game losing streak with 3 games to go, with a defense that I'll say the defense played well enough to win the game. I have issues with the defense for sure, but I think they played well enough to win this game. And an offense that just truly lacks an identity. What was kind of the first thought on your mind as the final seconds ticked away from the clock on Saturday?
Honestly, I'll start with my disagreement with your take that the defense looked fine.
I didn't say they looked fine. They played well enough to win this game. They played significantly better than the offense did while still not playing that great.
Yeah,
I will
also,
say
to note, the defense only gave up 2 touchdowns.
That's right. Yeah. They did. San Jose State did have a defensive touchdown, but our secondary was getting torched, and their quarterback could not. Their quarterback was just missing throws. That game could have been 21. They could have had 21 points in the first quarter.
I don't think the defense is good or
okay.
Not needing.
I'm just saying it could have been worse. It could have, like, in terms of so the stats don't tell the whole
think
story.
The defense could have been a lot worse and the offense could have only been slightly worse is probably a better way of saying it.
Yeah. Okay. So that was really the only takeaway that I had on defense was I'm a huge Jaden fan. And I think like part of it was just coming back after being gone for so long.
Sure.
But I thought he was going to really be someone that was sort of the glue to get that secondary back together, which is an unrealistic expectation, but he looked shaky out there. And the rest of the secondary looked even more shaky.
And
when it comes, go ahead.
I was just going to add, it is metrically the worst pass rush in the country, which is problematic.
That is another. There was one play where I was like, "Oh shit! Like we might sack the quarterback," and then it was a screen pass, and so
Got
but
gets drawn up.
Right. Yeah. San Jose State got me and the 11 players on defense. But this is the problem is what I'm seeing is we are losing the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. Like you just mentioned, our pass rush is just like there isn't one.
Right.
And no matter who our quarterback is, they are getting pressure the second that their foot hits the ground on a 3-step drop. Like they have no time to throw it, which means that our receivers have no time to run their routes. And we are running the ball up the middle. It seems like 2 out of every 3 plays. And Hank is a beast. And Saladin, that is who I was truly very impressed with on Saturday. Some of Saladin's runs were really good. Equipment team, can we please get him a little bit longer cleats though? Like dude was slipping and sliding all over the turf, but he did show some serious promise. And I think that probably is my thing to hang our hat on is like, let's try to keep him next year. But you can't do much when your offensive line is getting pushed around. And all due respect to San Jose State, we should have been manhandling them on both the line of scrimmage. I had made I had tweeted out something to the effect that the players weren't there's apathy on the team. And I just want to like sort of clarify what I meant by that. I think that I saw apathy. I tweeted it out when I saw that routes weren't being finished.
That I noticed too many times.
Several times routes weren't getting finished.
Including the pick 6.
Yeah, for sure. The pick 6. And then there's another one to Walker where he had his man beat. He just stopped running and it would have been a touch. I don't understand that. I don't know if maybe he tweaked something or what, but that looked like an unfinished route. And then it was just this like our offensive line has regressed more so than any other position group on this team. And so to see a team that is made up of 2-star recruits just getting everything that they want against your offensive line is, I don't know, maybe apathy is not the right word for it. Cause I don't think that is fair to the players. I think these guys are suiting up every Saturday and doing their best, but there is something that is going on with this team right now. And I don't know if it's because the coaches are new or if it's because if it's just some teams are like that after the transfer portal, where there's just a bunch of new guys on the team, which I would say Oregon State has way more new people on this team than most football teams do.
Well, from a playing time percentage, probably.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But
in terms of like
something...
snaps lost from like last year to this year, it's
and snaps gained from the portal. Yeah.
Right. It's
right. I don't understand it. Like it's not that I've come to grips that this team is at best probably going to win one of the next 3 games. And in my opinion, probably lose all 3. But it's the way that we've done it. We have gotten worse. And and I think as Beaver fans, like we're always used to seeing our teams get better. And that might be a result of Riley's teams, but like we get better throughout the season. And this season's just so different. So it feels like either the camaraderie is not there or the coaching is still working out kinks with
I think it's so just a cohesion. I think it's a cohesion thing for the most part, but I do wonder with how much patience does a player have in this day and age for waiting for cohesion to come.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know the answer to that question, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was extreme in either direction. Like, I mean, no matter the outcome, I think that's a question that is more complicated than it had been historically. Like I agree with you, Benny. I saw a lot of guys stopping short, whether it was a route or a block or a pursuit. or a tackle.
for sure. Yeah.
That was hard to watch. And I don't think that they were out talented on the field, thus the results. It felt like something was making them almost like second guess, putting it into the next gear when they needed to. And I don't really know how to explain it. I will say, I thought, at least from my side, the offense did particularly well given how well it had been going over the last few games. I think the pick six was a huge downer. There's a lot of fault to put around that play. The play call, the route, the throw was probably still not online. It all ended in the worst possible situation, which was a pick six. However, I mean, yeah, we saw Ben played a decent game besides the picks. I mean, he was sacked 3 times, and that's inexcusable. And I think maybe the offensive line looked better on paper than even I think the regression might show, because we had McCoy's scrambling, playmaking ability with his legs when things broke down, and thus maybe he got a yard or 2, or rolled out and got a throw off, but it wasn't accurate. Whatever, like the sack number was clearly padded. Sacks given up was clearly padded by his mobility. I will write off one of those picks, which was the most detrimental one, the pick six, because I do think that it was where the receiver was supposed to be. It was at least in the vicinity, and the receiver wasn't at all in the vicinity. And if that was the play call, I mean, that's what you do, right? So you got to hand him that one. And I think you can chalk that up to just a circumstantial, meltdown.
Sure.
I thought Hank looked great. I thought Saladin looked great. I loved the fact that Walker had a big game. I would say
put up stats.
He put up the numbers. I liked that we went to Terry early. I liked that we spread the ball around on the receiving side way more than we have all season. Way more. Obviously, still heavy focus on Trent, but we had how many receivers involved? 2, 3, 4, like 7 receivers, including running backs involved
7
in the passing game.
Catchers.
Yeah. So I'll take that as some growth somewhere. Somebody grew there, and I don't know where you place that blame, I guess, if you want to, for lack of a better term. But I don't think the offense blew it. But here's one other little anecdote I think is interesting. The drives where we were successful outside of the first drive fumble by Hank, where I think we were just trying to march downfield,
tough
score. Yeah. But the pace of that drive, we had 4 plays in minute 46, and then we hit with the fumble. Okay. Every other drive that was over 5 minutes, other than the strange 4th down called late in the 3rd, ended with a score.
So 3 other drives?
1, 2. Yeah. But I'm saying, those were the only 3 drives that were over 5 minutes in possession, and other than the 6-minute possession at the end of the 3rd when we went for it on 4th.
Well, I wanted to, because it's easy to try and place blame, or to try and place blame places or in individual places or on individuals. I'm not ready to fire anybody. Or I do think the next 3 games that you should look at Jabari at quarterback, because
but they're not.
I don't really
Yeah, they already announced Ben.
I
already announced Ben.
I don't care about making a bowl this year. I just don't. And that, you can talk about the philosophy on that until the cows come home. But, I think it's fine to go with Ben again and try to win these next 3 games. But if there's something with someone who might be a part of this team beyond this year, I'd like to see it. I think the decision to go for it on 4th and goal from the 5 up 13-10 is the one decision that I think you can circle, and that I think Bray would look back on and be like, I'd probably like to have that one back. You have a chip shot field goal. Everett has been kicking the ball really well since
that's another silver lining.
Yeah. And that's where I was like, what? Because I criticized Bray earlier in the year for putting Hayes out there in unwinnable situations where he was, playing hampered to some degree. We don't know the full degree because we never hear anything about injuries anymore. But where we had just seen Everett miss from like 43, 44, and then he gets sent out there from 48, 49. And guess what? It's another miss. You get a chance to go up 16-10. And then, yes, like that doesn't provide the, winning margin based on what unfolded, but everything's different after that point. Points were hard to come by. Your offense just had a long drive and march to the 5. I understand you need to try and maximize those opportunities, but you can't leave drives with nothing. And you had already left a drive with nothing, the first drive of the game with the fumble. You cannot put your team in a position to leave a drive with nothing again and then still win. You take that 3, you're up 16-10. Your D still needs to make a stop, but like, who knows what happens after that? I just don't like the philosophy to chase the points there and try to make it a 2-possession game. Of course, if they complete that pass from, I believe it was Clemens on that play, and it's a touchdown, we're like, oh, the ball's on Bray, great call. And I understand that's part of it, but like, it just didn't seem, watching the game back, like this team has not executed very flawlessly in short yardage situations. If it's on the 1 and it's like, all right, you have one chance, give it to Hank at the 1 or the 2 or something like that. It's the 5. They know what you're doing. They know you're going to pass it. And our passing game's really limited. And you just have a chance to go up by 6 there. And I can't believe he didn't take it.
For our red zone offense, there's a lot of things concerning with this team. Our red zone offense is near the top of that list. We had the fumble by Hank. We've talked about that. That was at the 20. So very outside of the red zone, but still red zone. You had the 4th and 5 that we missed. We had the Everett. We settled on an Everett Hayes field goal, but we had the ball down at the 17. And then you had the interception with Ben at the end in the end zone. Like, he cannot figure out how to score the ball when we get in the red zone. It is, I mean, you're not going to win many games if you're just fumbling, no pun intended, but like you're just fucking around in the red zone.
Yeah. It's like the worst parts of Brian Lindgren all over again, guys.
Yeah. But I do think like there is, look, like this coaching staff is young and you don't know what you're going to get with them yet. There's a lot of things that were going against Oregon State this year.
Yeah.
And I think expectations were, us included, myself at the top of the list, were incredibly unreasonable. And I just don't think that like this almost should have been expected. Yeah. We just lost so much and we were reeling at the end. And
I don't think the record as it stands and then where the losses have come from, big picture, should have been expected. But what should have been anticipated, based on like what you're alluding to, Benny, is when things start going south, how do you pull out from that tailspin? And if there isn't anybody, any voice that can say and show and has demonstrated, here's how we get out of this, I know what to do next. Even if you do, I mean, there's so much nuance in that like mental state to try to like convince an entire locker room or convince your coaching staff, whoever is involved in feeling like, oh, wow, like this is going south. Like we need to fix something. If you don't have someone reliably to lean on and go, all right, I trust what they're saying, they're telling me how to do this, That's what I'm going to do. And even if it's not the right thing, at least I feel confident that I'm doing something to get out of a tailspin. We don't have that kind of leadership in general. And it's not a knock on any of the seniors. It's not a knock on any of the upperclassmen or the coaches. We just have had no one on the team really at this point face this kind of tumultuous stretch.
That, along with everything else, was part of the laundry list of things that were taken away in the great train robbery of modern realignment.
Well, and
Train
Terry, to
robbery
your
is a
point
little
of
bit of a
wanting
stretch.
of wanting to see
I'm saying they haven't
wanting to
voted
see
very well.
Gabari out there. Like I would love to see him and Saladin and a hell of a lot more of Darius Clemens and Jordan Anderson and like some of these guys. I guess Darius isn't young; he's a junior, but like Jordan Anderson's young and he has a ton of talent. But like you can't. It's so much harder to do that now because you don't know if these guys are sticking around. Right. So like it really does put you in between a rock and a hard place. And who knows? Like maybe giving some of these guys playing time will help.
Right.
But
that's where
dude, I don't know.
I truly don't know everything that goes into re-recruiting your own roster. If guys,
you see what Bray said today?
No,
NIL got brought up.
Yeah, Nick, I recognize your voice. It was Dashel asking and pushing towards. Come on, can you give me a figure? Tell me what it is. And essentially, Bray agreed to that they are very well aware that there are and will be other schools who will come after their players and tell them how much they're worth and why they should get in the portal and come to their school. He also mentioned that it's something that they are trying to like fight against, but when pushed by Dashel for a figure, he agreed. Yeah, it's in the millions.
What figure?
Figure of how to retain our roster will be in the millions.
Like retain the entire roster is in the millions, or is this a per player estimate?
To put up enough NIL if players are getting offers?
Sure,
it will be in the millions to retain everybody.
And I don't
on this team
collectively.
That's what he was.
I mean, there's young talent. I think the talent composite was probably overrated locally and maybe a little underrated nationally still going into the year. But yeah, I can see that. And I also don't know, I don't know how I would handle this in Bray's shoes where it's like, yeah, if you give, say, a player like Jordan Anderson, who may, in fact, I don't know if he'll have a red shirt possible given the amount of playing time.
He does.
But yeah, I think he can.
Maybe not for this.
I think Anderson could play the next, because I think it's like 5 games now or something, including a bowl game. So you could play Anderson significantly. He just fits this example here. And you could play him a bunch to be like, hey, you're a huge part of our future plans. Here's some playing time.
Well, he's theoretically played in 5 games.
Okay. But anyway, doing that too also sheds more light for other programs to find them. So I think some sympathy
like Jabari
needs to be given to similar to Jabari, though I do think with a player like Jabari, with quarterback, it's just so magnified already that if you're just not playing, you're probably just going to move on. But the point remains, like it's so complicated. Everything you do is so complicated in this, and it can't just be about development and everything. So I don't envy the position that Bray is in at all. And I, beyond certain play calls at certain times, when to go for it, when to take the points, when to punt, whatever. Like I have some issues with things this season, but I don't have a ton. Like I think this was a more, like what you were saying, Benny, I think this is a more impossible task than what any of us really wanted to admit going into this season.
Well, and here's another thing. And like, I am biased towards Gundy, but like people saying that Gundy needs to be fired, like, dude, you can only do so much when the defensive line of the other team is breathing down your quarterback's neck before he's done with this 3-step drop.
Yeah.
Like you can't do a lot.
no offense to Benny G, but like when your quarterback was clearly not your number one choice. And now they're in there, they're thrusted in there. I mean, we talked about this a little bit in our group chat. Like all early season, we were like, oh, wow, look at this. Like we've got an athletic and mobile quarterback. We've got a dynamic, running back room, and we've got receivers with lots of upside and tight ends as well with lots of upside. Our line should be pretty solid. Offense should look great. Defense might be a bit of concern, but look, we've still got Bray around. Like we've got some veteran leadership. I mean, the injuries hit, and then some of them hit late and sustained. On the defensive side, I still don't really know how much I want to chalk up performance to, I don't know, anything. And I guess offense in the same way, but like, man, like there's something to be said about, we thought it was a vanilla offense at the beginning by design. The play calling has not gone any more exotic, successful or complex or exotic, but maybe when it was about to, we changed quarterbacks.
Sure.
Like,
yeah,
it's super hard to say, but I will still lean on, I think the strength of this staff is and always has been, whether as a head coach or a linebackers coach, is Trent Bray. I do not think he's the wrong guy for the head coaching job. I do not think that he needs to take over play calling on defense. But I do think having his voice in the room on the defensive side can inspire the kind of play that we got to see him pull out of players when he was promoted to defensive coordinator, that I don't know if he has their ears right now because he's not, paying as close attention to the defensive side as he is the entire program.
Right. This is also a hard thing to sell in this current era of needing instant gratification and everything like that, especially in college football. But I do, big picture, want to see how Bray responds to this season with next season, and how he responds with, I mean, I know he got a full off season because he was named coach before the bowl game and they had him not coach the Sun Bowl to get on the recruiting trail. And I don't want this to turn into a recruiting episode or anything. We've got a fun couple of basketball games that we still need to talk about, but there is reasons for optimism in Oregon State recruiting news, and they've been doing some work. And I just don't think that the response to everything we all went through last year, Smith leaving the way he did, that it was a beautiful dream to think that they could be the, America's team and just the ultimate underdogs and do this incredible thing. But I just don't think that was ever in the cards. And our situation, there's not going to be a better group of like coaches to pick from. And I want to see how I am very curious, regardless of what happens. They could win the next 3 games by blowout, which would shock the hell out of me, or get blown out, which would also kind of shock the hell out of me, but a little bit less so. And there would still be something to respond to. And I do want to see how this group of men and coaches who have pretty impressive experience and good resumes, but are still young, how they respond to it. And we just aren't allowing much space for patience in the current sports climate, especially in college football. But it's something Oregon State, I think, has to do.
Yeah, the urgency is being forced on fans, so it's hard to remind yourselves to stay patient, let somebody build.
Right. Well, and speaking of patience, one thing I have no patience for, not to get on a soapbox, is but people leaving early in the transfer portal.
Oh yeah,
right. Like
before the season's over,
Well, and Carlos hadn't gotten any playing time this year, so I get the frustration, but fuck, if you're gonna start the season, like finish it. Like that is something, I don't know if there's more context behind that or what the story might be, but like don't enter the transfer portal early. Like you have another month to wait. Like just wait that, and if you know you're gonna do it, that's fine. But like it comes off as quitting on your team, is what it comes off as.
Yeah, though I guess, I mean, I agree. I'm 100% in agreement, but I could also understand where the perspective might be, why fake it? why not be all in and make people put me out there? And I don't feel like if I did get a shot, like I'm out there and I don't care. I've already made a decision. I mean, I get that, and maybe there's more to it, but I agree. Like, yeah, then don't be considering these decisions mid-season if you're gonna make one. Also, I found it. He's a young kid. He can do what he wants. I don't want to say he made a poor decision or whatever. Like, but best of luck to him. But I found it very telling that in his announcement post on X he mentioned essentially all former coaches who he thanked for his time at Oregon State, and not one current coach that's with the program after spending now essentially a year with
Michigan State Spartan is what you're saying. Or USC Trojan, because that job might be opening soon and they would have the chance to do the funniest thing ever. I'm going to leave that there. that could be another fun off-season job. We got to get back into the predictions. Oregon State heads to Air Force, where they are favored, though Air Force has been playing considerably better. Just beat Fresno State. Oregon State heading into this one in Colorado Springs against the Air Force Academy with a 4-5 record. Pretty much absolutely need to win this game if you want to play in a bowl game. My preseason prediction, and I will remind everyone, preseason, Air Force had not played a game in 2024 yet and was pretty damn good last year. I predicted an 31-28 Air Force victory. About 3 weeks into this season, I felt foolish about that. Now, when it comes time to bet or bail, I've been giving OSU the benefit of the doubt too much lately. I am going to bet on this Air Force 31, Oregon State 28. And if I lose the bet, I will be happy about it. But
you'll be a winner.
Make me eat my words, Beavs. 31-28.
You're hedging your
Falcons.
Happiness.
I am hedging my happiness here. JP, your preseason prediction was a Beavs win by a final score of 27-24. How do you feel about that sitting here on Monday of game week? Oregon State.
What's the spread again?
I'm
a touchdown, right?
3.5.
Did it open higher than that?
I think it no. The over is 44.5. Oregon State is favored by 3.5.
Yeah, then I'm gonna bet it. I'm gonna bet my bet that I bet no money on. But yeah, I'm betting it.
Doubling down on
your
the
ass.
$0 bet. 0 times 2 is 0.
Yeah, 2 million.
Benny, your preseason prediction was a 24-17 Oregon State win. How do you feel about that? Bet or bail?
Damn, that's almost right. That would be the implied score almost.
Close?
No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. No,
wait, what was yours?
Not true. 24-17 Oregon State. I'm going to bail. And I'm with you, Terry. I hope that I'm proven wrong. I think that score, I wouldn't even say flipped. I think Air Force wins 24-14. I just don't have confidence, and I can't pretend to in our offense.
24-14. That's an under hit. That's all I got.
Yeah, prove me wrong.
You're taking
that's I agree with you. Yeah, prove me wrong. I think that Oregon State they're more talented. That's for sure.
All right,
they have more talent on that team.
Well, all of us are taking Air Force to cover. So if you're at home trying to make some money, all of us just bet on.
Wait, no, I don't.
It's 3.5. You bet Oregon State you bet on them winning by 3. That's Air Force covering.
Oh, yeah, but I don't. Yeah, well, we haven't covered
Don't
it all
say
this
something
season,
positive
so.
about our opponent and attribute it to me.
Dare you put words in my mouth?
Bet on Air Force to cover this game. And then the Oregon State money line for JP.
Yeah.
And, all right.
Would I be slightly over?
You and I both have the over.
Yeah. All right.
I will say, if they win, it will make the Boise trip more interesting.
We are going to Boise. We're about to put the boys in Boise, baby.
Just eating leftover turkey at 7 a.m. on our way to the stadium.
Exactly. If you are going
9 a.m. kickoff.
How has Air Force looked on both facets of offense and defense when it comes to the run?
Well, traditionally, don't they run the wishbone, right?
But so I don't think it's gone very well this season, right? Like that's what I had gathered.
They average over 200 yards rushing per game, so they're like, it is.
But that's when they're predominantly
37th total
rushing attack.
Yeah, so efficiency they rank 37th in total yards per game on the ground. Per carry as a team, is that on here? It is not.
3.7.
Yeah, so it's not great. It's not great. They just beat Fresno State.
They did beat Fresno State.
They were close against Colorado State. They put up 37 points in a loss to New Mexico. They got demolished by Navy.
And by Army.
Army's good.
Army is good.
They lost to San Jose State 17-7. Mm-hmm. That was on September 7th, so a while ago. But yeah,
they lost by 10. We lost by 11.
But they gave up.
They're 1 point better
to San Jose State,
and they only scored 7.
Yep, yeah. But like San Jose State is like air raid galore. I mean,
the defense
he get just threw anything he could get out of his hand was going.
The biggest weakness of the defense.
10-yard vicinity.
The biggest weakness of the defense is the pass rush, and Air Force doesn't pass. So advantage Oregon State, baby. Yeah, I'm not changing the bet, but I will be here to say I told you so if the Beavs win or lose, no matter what.
Wow, you're really hedging over here, Terry.
Terry Hedgeman.
You are Terry Hedgeman.
Anything else on football that we want to be sure to talk about, or just it's almost over, guys? We're getting there.
No, I don't like that. I don't feel that way. I don't feel that way at all. I don't feel it's almost over. I still enjoy the games. I still enjoy game day. I wish that we had more wins. I think when it's all said and done, the only loss that's going to actually look really bad is going to be the Nevada loss. I think when it's all said and done, that's going to be the bad loss. I think every other loss has been somewhat predictable.
The Cal loss was one of the worst losses I've ever seen.
Maybe, but like Cal is improved from what they had been in the last few years in the pack. We should have beaten Nevada. That should have been Nevada. That was never like anyone's maybe question mark, but yes, checkbox on the schedule when it was announced or the season started. That was a check, yes, done, victory. UNLV was a question mark. Cal was a question mark being on the road. San Jose State maybe wasn't a question mark preseason, but they're bowl eligible.
Right. If you just look at wins and losses and don't look at the score or the body language or the effort, then sure, the Nevada one's the only one that pops. But the Cal loss was one of the worst 4 hours of my life watching this team.
That was torture. It was torture to watch. It was torture to just even live through. I'm not saying as a fan that will just be erased from your mind. What I'm saying is on paper in the end, when you look at the wins and losses, you're going to go, yep, okay. Nevada we should have had.
The only caveat to that, and I agree, Nevada will definitely be the worst out of the losses in the grand scheme of things. San Jose State is, I think, better than what people are probably giving them credit for. I mean, Oregon State should have beat them, but it's not like they were a D2 school, right? I mean, like they had good players, but it was their first win against a Pac-12 school on the road since 2001, which would have been
it was well
bad before any one of us were going to Oregon State. So, but that's such a, like, that stat means nothing, right? Like it's a different San Jose State team. It's just like that I think will be talked about, but I agree with you. Like the Nevada loss is head and shoulders above the others when it comes to games we should have won.
Yeah.
Although I will give you credit, you did call that loss at the beginning of the season.
Thank you.
I'm just saying that was a good call.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, well, first roadie.
a lot of fans just breathed sighs of relief. Like, oh,
At least
JP knew, so it's fine.
Just follow me for more betting tips, betting or bailing tips with JP. I have my new YouTube channel.
Right.
Do not follow me. I stopped posting mine. My bets started so good at the beginning of the year, and
You
then
were on a
just
heater
went
to start.
downhill. I was on a heater. Yeah.
And then-
That's just betting.
Yeah, that is perfectly said.
Yeah.
Can't add to that.
Unless you're at a Las Vegas casino and you walk by a Buffalo slot machine, play it because that's free money. JP,
It's free money.
stamp of approval.
Yeah. Yeah. Just stay patient. You will never lose nearly as much as you'll win.
Well,
Never.
I witnessed it.
after this trip to Colorado Springs, Oregon State returns home for a game against Wazoo, which will be tough, and then finishes the regular season with a day after Thanksgiving Day feast on the Blue at Boise, which Benny and I will both be attending in person. If you are in Boise for Thanksgiving weekend to root on the Beavs, hit us up. We'd love to catch a pint with you. Say what's up, tailgate. However much tailgating can happen before 10 a.m. A lot, actually. So yeah, it'll be it'll be fun.
Wake up
We'll
early.
find out if you hang out with us.
We got the hookup. We're like on a river. We're in a van down by the river, down by the stadium. That's where we're staying. So we'll be in the area. I heard great things about Boise and that fan base. So very, very excited to get there and to have some fun and the regular season on a high note. Talking about starting a regular season on a high note.
Hey,
Fucking basketball school. Basketball.
You'll
Beavs.
never lose more than you
I
win.
don't see another loss on this fucking schedule. I said it.
nope.
Oregon State men's basketball 2-0 and flying. By this point, you might be tuning in to the Oregon State versus Western Oregon game at Gill Coliseum, where the Beavs are up by 40. Oh, Parsa Fallah just nailed another Kevin McHale-esque post move. Nate Kings just hit his 19th three-pointer of the game. Salem. Guys, it is so fun to be thoroughly hyped on men's basketball. Men's basketball 2-0. Wayne Tinkle picked up his 300th career D1 victory. That's
Shout out Wayne.
Oregon State and
Way to go,
Montana.
Coach.
There's a little bit of confusion on social media. And anyway, but 300 wins for Coach Tinkle. Here's what I'm excited about. And it is often a low bar when we're talking about Oregon State men's basketball through the years, through our lifetimes. Do you guys know the last time Oregon State men's basketball opened a season 2-0 with 2 wins by 20 points or more?
Oh man, this was the shit you were teasing.
This is
before
what I
we
teased
started
before
recording.
we hit record. This is what I teased by 2.
Can I ask 2 questions?
You can ask.
Actually, can I just ask one? Can I ask?
You can ask one
Is
question.
it before 1990?
No,
1992.
incorrect. It's actually
Oh,
much more recent than you think. It was a Wayne Tinkle coach team. It was the second year of the Tinkle era when Oregon State beat Bushnell 74-52 and Iona 93-73 to start the 2015-2016 season.
my Iona.
When they went to the NCAA tournament, baby, and ended that 26-year-long streak. Look,
Fuck yeah.
it's at the end of the day, it's a 23-point win against Utah Tech. It is a 28-point win against Weber State. But they are 2 pretty commanding wins where Oregon State really flexed their muscles in the second half of both games, and there seems to be an identity. There seems to be a lot of players who can play defense. The team defense seems to be pretty phenomenal. Benny,
Yeah.
you've been living in the group chat, just excited as all hell about Oregon State men's basketball since before we tipped off against Utah Tech. I want to give you the honors here. Just what has been the most impressive part for you about these first 2 games of this new season of Oregon State men's basketball?
So Parsa Fallah has been just overly impressive for me.
All right. And that's just the mustache.
There has to be, they have to do like a Queen song that somehow ties back to him. I'm not convinced that Freddie Mercury actually died and is not actually
Freddie Mercury
grown
was
3 feet. Yeah. So, but his footwork is going to make a lot of people look really silly this year. It was just incredible to see what he was doing against Weber State. But honestly, like outside of him, there have been a lot of really, really outstanding individual talent on this team. But the way that this team is playing together and the ball movement that this team has and the tenacity on defense, the communication on defense, it reminds me, and this is just you guys are both going to laugh at this because it's such an over exaggeration.
I love it,
but it reminds me of those international teams that we were playing in the Olympics, that the USA was playing in the Olympics, that have played together forever as kids, that maybe didn't have the talent that we had, but were beating us and making games really tight because of their team chemistry. And it blows my mind.
Into the system.
Yes, absolutely. And these kids have bought into the system. I've never seen a team box out the way that the Beavers boxed out against Weber State. It was incredible. I think Weber State got 1 offensive rebound, which was a weird bounce. But these guys perimeter players are boxing out past the 3-point line. Like it was really, really incredible to watch. And those are the teams that are going to win a lot of games in college basketball. In college basketball, you don't necessarily need to have the most talented players, although I think a lot of the players we have are underrated from a national perspective.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're a lot better than what people give them credit for. But Wayne Tinkle's system is made for this team. There's not one player that is demanding the ball. There's not one player who is your go-to player. And that's what we've always had in the past, whether it be Trace Tinkle or Ethan
but
Thompson.
Those guys were bought into the system because
they were bought into the
system.
Had to. They for sure had to.
Yeah.
But they were bought into the system, but that is not what Tinkle's
the system.
It is a testament to the system, and Tinkle's system thrives off of team play and not having someone unselfishness. And we had, Jordan Pope. I don't think he's a selfish player at all, but he is a player who is your go-to guy.
Right.
And I think that could have been, definitely was part of the reason why we weren't successful last year, is because Pope is going to thrive in a system where it's a lot of ISO ball and he's able to really showcase his skills. That doesn't jive in Tinkle's system. And you're right, JP. These players have bought in, and this is going to be an exciting year. I do have a bone to pick though.
I love how
in the sports app, the sports app,
sports app.
Okay. If you go to the West Coast Conference, which by the way is a fucking upgrade compared to the bullshit conference, the bullshit, poor, shitty basketball conference we were in last year, Oregon State is listed as being behind Gonzaga. We're both 2-0, and our point differential is 25.5 and Gonzaga's is 23. Fuck that. We're the best team in the West Coast Conference.
Not to take you down from the soapbox, because this is amazing, but do you think we are possibly listed behind Gonzaga because it's just alphabetical?
How dare you?
No. I'm sorry. That the sports app only has like one tiebreaker and it's wins losses, so it just goes to the alphabet. Gonzaga wins the conference because G comes before O.
In fairness, to go along with your point, we are
comes before Bulldogs
above Pacific, and Pacific has a better record than us and a better point differential. They're 3-0.
Hey, still.
Maybe the actual
Why is the
first
sports app just living beholden to the alphabet?
It's just
aside sports app.
Throw another wrinkle. UOP is they're the Tigers, so again they would fall behind us alphabetically if we went by our school's mascots. And we should theoretically be then ahead. So this is bias.
Well, Beavers is alphabetically ahead of Bulldogs too.
Or Zags.
Yeah.
Which one is it?
Zags is not their mascot.
Which one is it?
Yeah, take your pick, Alphabet Police. We win.
Oh, yeah. Fuck. Oh, here's the other thing. The last sort of comment I have on this team is, dude, like if any students are listening to this, fill Gill and spread the word. I know you guys have probably not experienced women's basketball. You probably have experienced what Phil Gill is like.
Yeah.
It is so amazing.
It's so fun.
And if we have a good basketball team that can fill Gill, it's going to be so fun. Like you guys, well, I'm excited.
And also go, because if it's not full, it's also fun because then the players can definitely hear you yell at them.
Right.
So odds are you're going to have fun. Go.
Right.
Yeah.
And this isn't a nitpick, but it was noticeable. There weren't a ton of people in either crowd at the Utah Tech game or the Weber State game, which is fine. I wasn't really expecting anything. And the next two games,
but Weber State's a good.
Weber State's a good program.
And
I've got
they're picked to finish.
They're picked to finish third.
And they did get a couple number one picks.
Weber State is not a slouch. I don't think it's much of a draw, but they're a good program. The next two games are both at home. That's Tuesday against Western Oregon and Friday against Cal State Fullerton. Both should be wins. Cal State Fullerton, if you're curious, is currently 0-2 with double-digit losses.
You better show out for our Monmouth
Grand
rivals.
Canyon and Stanford. But after that, Thursday, November 21st is the 5th game of the year against the University of Oregon. It's the only meeting between the teams. It would be amazing to be undefeated going into that game and have just a filled Gill to welcome the Ducks and remind them this is what you left, you pieces of shit, you pieces of fucking shit. Anyway, I don't want to get ahead of myself. I have a lot of thoughts as well. A stat that I want people to pay attention to, and one that I was kind of tracking through this game. Benny, you talked about the defense and just the team defense. The team, they're communicating in a way that doesn't suggest these guys are mostly playing together for the first time, which they are. Fallah is a Southern Utah transfer. DeMarco Minor is a transfer. LT Lilavicious was ruled eligible like during warm-ups. Delicious Lilavicious.
He looked good, man.
Against
Delicious
Utah Tech, they allowed only 10 assists, and against Weber State, they allowed only 7. Pay attention to the assists allowed by this team going forward, because we make possessions fucking hard as hell. And we at least did that in the last 2 games. And I do think we'll get teams sort of out of their, programmed comfortability going into possessions and force up a lot of, desperation shots, uncomfortable shots, unassisted buckets, dare someone to try and go ISO on them. And if they score, great, but they're going to get a lot of opportunities. They did give up 5 offensive rebounds, not to fact check you, Benny, but a few of those were team rebounds where it goes off the rim and goes out of bounds. Tough stat. But I think assists allowed, I think we will be a pretty good assist percentage team. We moved the ball tremendously in both games with 16 assists in the first game, up that to 19 assists in the second game. A lot of the buckets were coming off of just tremendous ball movement, finding kings, especially in that game against Weber State, open beyond the arc. These are the types of things.
Kings gang.
There'll be games where it doesn't look that easy, of course, but they had moments both in the first halves of both these games where shot wasn't falling. Like they were getting good looks, but the ball wasn't going in, and you had to endure. And it shows that this team can win games in a variety of ways, and we'll see as the schedule gets tougher and we get further and further in the season and they get tested and put more of the way they play on tape. But there hasn't been a more encouraging start in a long time. And as I mentioned, the last time there was a start this encouraging, it was a team that went to the NCAA tournament. And that's not hyperbole. We've been Tinkle fans on this program where a lot of people have called for his head, and I get that, but everything that's been put on tape in 80 minutes of basketball so far is something tangible that you can hang on to.
And a lot of these dudes don't look anything like first time or new college basketball players. I mean, their physique even looks like I could see that in the NBA. I mean, that guy looks like he can move for his size. Like he can handle the ball. He knows how to set a screen, box out. Like there's an element. I don't know. It's very hard to explain, but I think there's an element of the caliber of talent, clearly a buy-in to coaching philosophy, buy-in to team play. And I actually wanted to piggyback on something you were saying, Benny, earlier. And I think it isn't on some of the players in the past, or maybe it was you, Terry, but like it is on our past star players where we've had some rough years. But what I do think is if there is like a feeling of partial buy-in amongst the players to the system, but the one buy-in they're willing to lean on is if we have to go to somebody, coaches identify this guy, even if like it was for a separate reason. So we'll just feed him. I'm cool with that. Let him kind of go. And it's hard to be a college kid and be like, I'm the guy. And remember also, but I'm the guy because we're supposed to like operate as a team in the system.
Right.
And I think it's easy to fall into the trap of like, just let him go hero ball and maybe we'll get the victory versus like, no, we're all going to do our part and help carry the team. And I think that this team feels more like the latter than the former because there isn't really yet the guy.
Yeah. And I would just say, like, we talked about it a little bit with Mr. Johnson, Mr. Steve Johnson, about this idea of going after international players because of that sort of loophole of they can't get NIL money. And whether that's fair or not, it is a loophole that Tinkle seems to be taking advantage of. And I think that's really smart because it does eliminate everything that we just talked about with football of you are just, you're almost paralyzed by the inability to do anything because you're worried about players leaving. And what you can be rest assured by is that a lot of these players are not going to leave for
beyond
NIL
your
money.
Control.
Yeah.
You could have coached the shit out of them and built them into the best player they could possibly be.
Yep.
And you can't control that money carries more weight than loyalty.
Yeah. And if they keep playing like this, man, and Tinkle, because all of these players seem to be playing better than what they were playing last year. Why would you leave? What if Gil is filled by the end of the season, or not by the end of the season, by the end of the week?
End of the goddamn week.
Filled,
set a deadline.
then why would you leave?
And they have
the other person I want to give. Oh, go ahead.
I was just say they have. This is a product of the players that Tinkle has targeted, but in Michael Ratai, who's been in the program a while, and Parsa Fallah, the newcomer, both are 6'9" dudes with a ton of length and a ton of strength. Like they are. Yeah, this team is not going to get pushed around down low, and there could be games where they're short on the athleticism, but there's some athletic dudes on this team too. But you got those two and Lily Vicious, who we mentioned as well, who's 6'7" and long as well. Isaiah Size, another guy like that. This is a team that will be able to block shots and, engage in a rock fight in the lane in some ugly games and come out on top in a way that they weren't able to before. And Ratai really looks like that dude just went in a cave and lifted rocks for the entire offseason. Yeah. He looks so much bigger and stronger. Yeah. He's always a big, strong dude.
Is German for rocks.
Yeah. Ratai is make the shirt, JP. Ratai is German for rock. He is a German the Rock. Dude, he looks so amazing.
Speaking of body types, Isaiah Sai is the tallest 6'7" person I've ever seen in my life. He hair looks helps. Yeah, maybe it's the hair. The other person I want to give props to is Josiah Lake. Dude is showing that he earned that scholarship.
Absolutely.
So props to him. He's a huge part of both of those wins. And quite honestly, that Weber State win, we talk about shoulda a lot on the show, that should have, or at the very least could have been a much bigger win in terms of the margin. There were a lot of open threes that we missed that they were by players that are not going to miss those threes very often. So, I mean, it just shows when our shots aren't dropping, we have several other ways that we can win, which is, amazing.
And JP talked about this earlier, just the ways in which this team can win. And I think we're going to see a lot of different guys lead the team in scoring this year and different kinds. Yeah. So 2 games, the last game against Weber State, it was Fallah with 16. The first game was DeMarco Minor with 23. He really got it going in the second half. I like Minor a lot. I think he knows kind of when to go. I think he reads the game well, and he hasn't put up crazy rebounding numbers for a guard. I think he got 5 in both games, but that dude elevates and attacks the ball on the defensive glass. And I think you're going to see us rebound better as a team. And it's going to be there'll be Ratai and Fallah for sure. And it'll be how did we go from being a terrible rebounding team to a great one overnight? And it's just going to be an uptick across the board. And it wouldn't surprise me if Minor is one of the best rebounding guards in the WCC this season. Cause I've only watched him in 2 games so far. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but he really showed just a great nose for the basketball in those 2 games. And he was talked about on the broadcast as someone who Tinkle's coached harder than others because has more experience in American college basketball. They need him to be the lead guard and the leader of a team, and he's really responded to it. So I think he'll be a really, really unprecedented leader for the group.
Well, and to sort of drive your point home, Fallah did have 16. Nate Kings also had 16, and Ratai had 15. So they really do just spread the ball. Balance, Kings. Baby.
God.
Beavs, balance basketball.
Battlestar Galactica. We also can't get out of here with one player who does look raw, but looks raw in the best way, is Maxime Logie, who I just want to watch on the break constantly. He has hit 2 incredible shots and had 2 just insane blocks where he just literally ate some floater for lunch. And I know he's got he's a little rough around the edges, but goddamn, I hope this guy sticks around and Tinkle really, really develops him, because that is a player with a lot of potential written all over him.
They should let him shoot every time. He has not missed the ball, or he has not missed a shot this season. 2 for 2 against Utah Tech and 1 for 1 against Weber State.
And
feed the man the ball.
1,000%. That's field goal percentage, effective field goal percentage. It's just perfect. And this team is perfect. If it keeps going this well, we will officially petition the city of Corvallis to change the spelling of Kings Boulevard to Kings Boulevard. That's Kings with a Z for Nate Kings, the pride of Salem, Oregon. And yeah, that's, I think, all we got now. There's a great episode of the Peyton Years podcast celebrating this 2-0 start, this best start since we made the tournament in 2015-16. Go listen to that podcast.
Absolutely.
Assuming this gets put up sometime on Tuesday before 8 p.m. Pacific time, get your ass to Gil.
Yeah, right.
The team's playing Western right now. What are they, the Wolves? I will hardly ever say anything like this, but fuck the Wolves, the Western Oregon Wolves.
Yeah, and werewolves.
Specifically. And Michael Jackson.
Yeah, fuck the werewolves.
There's a full moon coming on Friday. We've got to beat these guys.
Save my daughter, please.
Hey, other fundamental fact, 11 for 11 on free throws against Weber State. When was the last time that happened?
Were we really?
I don't know. Yeah, we were 11 for 11.
Born.
Yeah, probably not. We out-rebounded Weber
That's
State
true.
36-22. Like, man, you can say that's boring basketball, but that shit wins fucking games.
No, I'm so excited.
Does.
We all
Free throws are free points.
points.
That's
Been
true.
so many
3 points.
Well, and they missed the first 4 against Utah Tech, and it was like,
and I don't know if they've missed since.
They've missed a couple, but they're hitting pretty good since then. So we'll give it to them. It's nothing but up from here. Big game week against Western Oregon and Cal State Fullerton, and that team we love to hate coming to Gil next Thursday. So I'm hoping.
Never heard of them.
I've never heard of them either, but I feel pure straight hatred.
I'm angry right now, and I don't even know what you're talking about.
I'm angry, and I don't even know them. Hufo.
They're
from it's weird. It looks
dumb.
like their school.
Eugene?
It looks like their school is in the Pacific Northwest and the Pacific time zone, but their conference is rooted in the Midwest, 2,000 miles away, which I'll get to the bottom of this. We don't need to discuss this on the pod. It's probably some stupid bureaucratic thing. But anyway, a team that we will want to beat really bad will be at Gil Coliseum next week. We've got a couple games before that, but man, I hope it's more than this, and I really think it might be. But man, it just feels good to feel this again in November for Oregon State men's basketball.
Oh man, fuck yeah! Can't wait for tomorrow night.
Fuck yeah. That's Benjamin Lawrence Sebastian Wehage saying can't wait for tomorrow night in reference to an Oregon State versus Western Oregon men's basketball game. We are back. We are back. And we will be back again, the Belligerent Beavs, that is next week for episode 166. Thank you for tuning in to episode 165. It's been great having you here. We really appreciate it. Happy Veterans Day once again. If you didn't hear us extend our thanks and our gratitude to everyone who has served this country at the top of the episode. Thank you. We hope you had a wonderful Veterans Day, and thank you for tuning into the show. Please like, subscribe, rate, review, and share the show with a friend. It really helps us grow this show a lot. You can also follow us pretty much on every corner of the internet. We're on Twitter. We're at Belligerent Beavs. We're on Instagram at Belligerent Beavs, Facebook, LinkedIn for some reason, Blue Sky. We're still on MySpace, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Benny's Spotify DJ AI will yell at you to listen to something specific and weird app everywhere. And you can follow us at our homepage, belligerentbeavs.com and belligerentbeavs.com/merch for some dope merch and the shirt that I told JP to create midway through the episode that I'm now forgetting about. Something about
Retire is German for
rocks. Retire is the rock. we might keep workshopping it, but thank you.
I think it was fine.
I think it's perfect. Go buy it right now. It's already live, baby. Wear it to Gill tonight, and we'll give you something. Shout out Oregon State men's basketball, and shout out to you, listener. We love you. I am joined, as I always am, by my brothers in Beaver, my two best friends from college, Benjamin Lawrence, Sebastian Wehage, a.k.a. Benny with the good quaff, a.k.a. Benny Bedlam, because he's fucking crazy, folks, a.k.a. Benny Boise, a.k.a. Benny Bowl Game, a.k.a. Benny Burner, a.k.a. Benny's really excited about Oregon State men's basketball. Please DM him about it, and he'll just respond with, dude, fuck yeah. And then he'll just say, fuck yeah. Then he'll just say things about Parsa Fallah's post moves and mustache for like 2 hours. And it'll be the most fun you have at work this week, I promise. He's at Benny L1986 on all social media channels. And of course, our fearless leader, the man on the ones and twos, keeping our ship steered in the right direction, making everything sound smooth. He's JP Bertram at the Trill J on Twitter. That's at the _Trill_J, because he's too trill to be real. And on Instagram at JP Bertram. My name is Terry Horstman at Terry Horstman on Twitter, at Terrence Horstman on Instagram.com. And that's it. Nothing. Nowhere else. Nowhere else on the internet. I'm quitting everything else. It's that and this show. Follow the show on YouTube. Like and subscribe. Share the show with a friend. And remember on this, the 11th of November, that no matter what they do, no matter what they say, no matter what they take away, no matter what sport you're hyped or hopeless on, take a breath, take a minute, and remember, they cannot spell chop 'em without hope. So, chop 'em.
Chop 'em.
Chop 'em.
Beavs back, baby.
Fuck yeah.